this book, and I've said it, that, I told my students that we will look into this.
It's available on Amazon as well.
On Amazon.
It's published by Kubola, but I did ask them to get it on Amazon, but Kubola also has it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And what we do as we're studying and in all these, in my counseling class, I teach counseling 1 and counseling 2. And I said, you can read this book and you don't have to focus on Benjy and schizophrenia. You can focus on any of the other social issues. And how does that how will it affect our community? And you're able to see it. And one of the things that they learn pretty early is person and environment, right? That aspect that a person is affected by everything around their own community. So it's not only focusing on a social issue, but focusing on healthy functioning of an individual, right? Mental health, bringing back mental health. And so I thank you for writing this. And I'm even we have an upcoming social work conference coming up, where we're signing with universities, signing an MOU with California Baptist. And and I have other colleagues as well in other universities in the United States that I will definitely, if they want to know about international social work, to see Belize, the life, this novel is really great in depicting it. So.
That's one of the reasons that the Creole language is just written as non-standard English to give you, I don't know if you've ever read Salman Rushdie, but when you read him, he does it much better than me, but he does it, you can hear the Jamaican or the Indian, but it's understandable. So that's what I tried to do. You hear the cadence, but you can easily understand what is being said.
Right. And in this, we had the Creole and the Jamaican as well, that accent that the Jamaican has that you depicted in there. Yes, definitely. From all the characters, Ms. Kathy, which one for you stood out to you or was highlighted as you wrote the book,
It has to be Benjy. People do ask, well, who is Sandra? Who is that based on? I said, well, that's the one character that actually is based on snippets of different people. Okay. I suppose I'm in there somewhere. She would be closest to how I think.
Oh, okay.
But I think Benjy has to be the character because he's the one that pulls it all together.
Right. It's interesting that you said that because as I read it, I didn't. Where are you in the novel? You're right. That's an interesting.
And I'm not Sandra, but certainly some of the things she thinks and says, I suppose that's me.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you so much for that. Now, basic questions. How long did it take and how stressful was it writing?
It took a long while because I'm not a professional writer and I do other things and I waste time like everybody. But I suppose it took about 3 years. The editing and the re-editing, because I did a lot of editing. I have a daughter that also helped to do. She caught a lot of typos and things. And then I did get a professional editor that said, you could cut out this part because it's interesting, but it doesn't belong here. Things like that. That was very helpful. And then the whole publishing, that all took about a year. But the writing about 3 years.
was this the first
No,
novel
I
to
wrote
publish?
a book called Under the Shade,
Okay.
and that was published, but by someone who was in Belize that had printing in the States. So it was published, but not by a recognized publishing house. And that was an adventure story too. But that was set more in the north than in Belize City and the north. This is set Belize City and the south.
Yes.
So that was published. I've had a short story published in Memories, Dreams, and Nightmares, Kubola again. That one is about, infidelity and the results of it. Okay. It's called The Scent of Jasmine. So yeah, and I've recently published a biography memoir of my late husband, I have to say. That we launched in July. That took about 3 or 4 years as well.
Okay, so time spent 3 to 4 years of in
yeah,
and out writing, because
it depends how dedicated you are. To that. The most time consuming, I think, is the editing.
Okay, so you're given that back and you need to fix this, you need to fix that.
And I don't know, maybe I'm not, as I say, I'm not a professional writer. I just love to read, I love to write. But the story it was almost waiting, like what happens next. It would just occur to me that this happened next. This is how it's going to go. Right. And so it was almost as if the story was there, just waiting to be told. But maybe a professional writer could say something different.
Okay. Well, by experience, though, because it's not your first, as you said, you've had prior experience. And you mentioned a little bit earlier, maybe, is there another novel?
No, I have a book of short stories that's actually intended for young adults. And it's a historical, I have to see if I can get it published. I'm working on that now.
Okay.
It's Belize told. Each story is a teenager of a different ethnic group at a different historical time. So it's their story of what happened to them during a particular historical time.
Okay.
And so it goes through from the earliest colonizers way through to, having an indigenous woman as the Governor General. I'm hoping, because when you write, you also have to look at your audience. So there's too much sex in Benjy for a young adult audience. I mean, they know more than we do, obviously, but for schools that like to think that children don't know about these things. So the historical tales is told that would be in a way that brings in things, but is more appropriate for that age group. So I'm hoping again, I mean, you can see I fell in love with Belize. I fell in love with my husband, but I fell in love with Belize. And I think we don't have enough to connect us to Belize. So that's basically also what I try to do. Your
motivation, your passion behind that, connecting what, the Belizean culture, writing Belizean culture. And you're right, we have we don't tend to put things in writing, and we see that, everywhere. We say it and we think it's okay, but then it's just gone and it's not documented.
Yeah,
that's true. Well, again, thank you so much for sitting with me on this, and I will get my autograph
Sure.
because I've been waiting for that. And I do encourage anyone who has not read Benjy to go ahead. And I got my copy at Brody's.
Yes.
In the Northern Highway. But
Yeah.
so if you want to get a copy, that's where you can also get one.
I think Kubola has it there, has it at Dacres in Belmopan. They have it at their offices in Benke.
Okay.
Because Kubola is based in Benke, and it's available on Amazon. You just put in and the proceeds, which you might know from writing is next to nothing, but the $2 or $3 goes to the Welcome Resource Center for the homeless and mentally ill in Belize City, which is a support center for people with mental health issues.
Right. And on our upcoming segment, we will look at talking more about the Mental Health Association and the Welcome Center as well. Thank you.